They poisoned my trees, so I poisoned their property value. My land sits on 4 wooded acres outside Bernardsville, New Jersey, bordered by a low stone wall built by my grandfather in 1948. 42 mature oaks and maples line the ridge, each tagged and documented when the property was designated a local historic landscape in 1996. The trees buffer the estate from the valley below and mark the legal boundary in every recorded survey. They were here long before any HOA existed, and their roots run under soil older than most of the houses in town. The offender moved in 2 years ago, a developer named Glenn. He bought the adjoining parcel, a 1980s colonial he planned to flip. He liked to talk about unlocking potential, which usually meant cutting something down. At our first meeting, he pointed toward my ridge and said, "If those trees weren't there, the Sunset would sell this place twice over." I told him the trees were protected. He smiled like I'd misunderstood the question. In early spring of 2017, I returned from a week in Trenton to find brown streaks bleeding down the bark of my lower oaks. The grass near the base had turned a chemical yellow. When I scraped one trunk, sap leaked black and sour. Within days, leaves shriveled across half the ridge. Glenn stood on his deck watching, coffee in hand. When I asked if he'd seen anything, he said, "Maybe the soil's just tired. Happens when you overwater old trees." A sample of the soil tested positive for hexazinone and tebuthyuron, herbicides delivered by injection. The arborist from Rutgers looked at the drill holes and said, "This was deliberate. Each bore points measured at identical spacing. Someone treated them like targets." I documented every trunk, date-stamped the photographs, and filed a report with the county environmental unit. The investigator's summary was one sentence: "Intentional application of restricted-use herbicide on private property constitutes criminal mischief and trespass." Glenn's lawyer sent a letter suggesting we settle quietly for landscaping costs. I forwarded it to my attorney and the state's environmental prosecutor. Within 6 months, the Superior Court issued its ruling, intentional and malicious destruction of natural resources. Glenn was ordered to pay $1.2 million in damages, restoration fees, and penalties, recorded as a lien until paid in full. When the sheriff's deputy posted the judgment on his porch, Glenn muttered he'd appeal. The judge denied it the same afternoon, citing clear and convincing evidence. The lien remains attached to his parcel title, permanently flagging it in county records. Now the ridge stands open and still. The replacement saplings are fenced in neat rows. Wind moves through them without a sound.